So, Crystal, if you will, just introduce yourself to us and tell us a little bit about yourself and your family.
Sure. My name is Crystal Frazier. I am going to be 40 this summer, and I've got an 18-year-old, and she's graduating. So I'm about to be an empty nester at the age of 40. And these 18 years have just been pretty much me and her the whole time. I left her dad when she was one. And there was one period of my life that I was engaged to somebody for about 4 years. But outside of that, it's just been me and her. So,
So the first one is, how do you balance just being a mom, even just having one child? I mean, there's still some balancing that you have to do, especially as they grow from each stage. How do you, at this point, balance being a mom?
yeah. So at this point with an 18-year-old, it's going to be completely different than when she was younger because she's so self-sufficient at this point. She has her own car, she has her own job, she has her own responsibilities. So at this point, it's very different from what it was before. And I remember the days, though, that she had volleyball practice, she had choir events at school, we had parent teacher conferences, I was working. Like, it's just my life just completely revolved around her. And I would say the one thing that really comes with that balancing is having that relationship with the Lord. When you give some time to Him first, He's just going to make a way for everything else to just fall in line and to line up. Our time is expanded. It's just amazing. It doesn't make sense. Faith doesn't make sense. And so when you have that relationship with the Lord, everything just kind of falls into place. And then you just have to figure out your priorities. Um, you know, the Lord was my first priority. She was my second.
Yeah.
And so when you keep those things in mind and you're doing and serving your life according to those priorities, then everything, it just gets done. It just
Yeah.
happens.
This happens. That's big. A lot of people talk about, oh, you have to do this self care, get your nails done, take time for yourself. But rarely do you ever hear somebody say, like, take time with God so that those things can also just flow well. So that's big that you hit on that. That has awesome, like, it just changes the trajectory of everything, your day, how your week flows, your months, your years. You look back and like, oh, this wasn't so bad. So, so
Yeah.
yeah.
And for me, self-care was never about nailing hairs. It just wasn't. For me, self-care was spending time with the Lord, watching her play volleyball or watching her
Yeah.
worship. Like, that was my self-care. Like, I just truly loved, there is not a single thing in her life that I have missed. And I just
Amazing.
thank God that I have been able to just be there for her. And that is my self-care. That's what brought me joy, was just being there and watching her be successful and enjoy the things that she did. So I didn't spend the money or the time on hair and nails. I actually learned how to color my hair
Yep.
for a long time ago. And I couldn't tell you the last time I had somebody else color my, it needs it. I'm about to do it when we're about to get out this quarantine. I'm gonna do it. Yeah, that was just another one of my priorities. That was not a priority to me. Just making sure that she was involved in activities and that we were involved in church was a priority.
That's good.
That's
Riz, you want to hit
amazing.
on the next question?
Yeah. So, Crystal, what is the best thing about being a mom to you?
Well, oh gosh. I think just watching, I'm gonna cry. I'm gonna
Oh
cry.
no!
Right?
Just because she is 18 now, and you're talking to a mom who has really watched her just grow into this young woman that she is. Like, that just, it's just brought me so much. I'm totally gonna cry. It just, to know, like, she chose to go to an Assemblies of God college. She wants to be involved in worship. She was currently doing the internship at the church. Just to see the choices that she has made I know that I've played a part in molding her into being the woman that she is. And that is just, that brings me a lot of joy. She's a good kid.
Yeah, you laid
She's amazing.
the foundation.
She is amazing. And seeing her, like you said, and kind of seeing the same on my end as well, the girls and how quickly they got involved at church. And, it prompted me to want to go do that as well. And I was just like, yo, this is beautiful. Watching them worship, watching them be part of it, and not having to be like pushed to do it. Like, here you go do that real quickly. Like, mom wants you to go do that. So I think that's really powerful too. She is a beautiful young lady, and I mean, inside and out. So you have raised a phenomenal, phenomenal girl. The next one, it might be a little tricky, is if you had to define motherhood in 3 words, just 3, what would you say?
I mean, obviously, love. Love is the first one. Joy, for sure. And the next word that keeps coming into my mind, honestly, is security. And I don't know why, but that word is just knowing that I am her security. Like, I'm the only thing that she's had outside of the Lord for her whole life. And I know that a woman's greatest need is security, even when we get into marriage. And like, that's just one of our greatest needs. And to just know that I've been that for her for these 18 years. So I would say love for both of us, joy probably more for me. Because she's at that age where she's like, mom, leave me alone. But yeah, I would say I just love that I've given her a sense of for these 18 years that I have so far.
That's good. That's awesome.
If I have to pick 3, there's so much more.
Right? So many more.
It is. Yeah. So then, and what advice would you give to other mothers or single mothers in general, just about being a mother?
Yes, man. I think the area that I don't want to say I failed, but I definitely could have done better is consistency. It's really hard when you're the only. I was awful at follow through. Like, I would make empty threats if she didn't do what she was asked to do. And I tease her that, she got more spankings at 13 than she did at 3. And it's because she didn't get them at 3. And that is the one thing I would really encourage moms to do is we have to be consistent and let our no be our no and follow through. Because if you're not following through on consistency, even in the negative, can they really count on you to follow through even on the positive? So it goes both ways. And so, I feel like I've done a good job of proving to her that I'll always be there. So she knows I'm going to follow through on the positive. But she became a pretty good little manipulator, not in a bad way. She, like I said, she's a great kid, but she definitely knows how to ask for an inch and take a mile, because I was not good at follow through on discipline. So thank God she's a good kid.
Yeah.
Because had she wasn't a good kid, I cannot even imagine to begin what I would be dealing with, because I did not do a very good job on follow through on discipline. So I would say consistency. We want to give to them, just like our Father wants to bless us. We want to give them everything. And so it's not because I'm lazy, mom. It's just I truly want her to be able to go and spend time with her friends and do her activities. Like, I want her to be able to do those things. But I'm learning now that she is an adult. She's never had any consequences, any poor decisions. And so I've noticed a couple of things, like with her job. She doesn't do it a lot, but there's been a couple of times that she would call in to just hang out with friends. And I'm like, oh gosh, like that was just a bad decision. And I feel like that would have been the area. It's like,
what's your biggest fear with your child?
it's a tough one. Honestly, I can't say that I have any really big fears. And I think that just because I'm so rooted in the Lord, and I just know that he's got us. So the only thing I would ever fear is really, if anything ever happened to me, that I wouldn't be here for her. It's not even like, if something happened to her, I mean, of course I would be devastated, but I know she'd be with the Lord. And so, but other than that, I just I just have so much peace with God having this protection over her. And so much of that comes from my obedience. The Lord told me years ago that when I'm obedient to what he is asking of me, he just has this covering for her. And, I'm specifically talking about her purity at this time, just due to my obedience in regards to, remaining pure myself as an unmarried woman, that I just feel like he told you be obedient to what I say, and I've got her covered, because statistically, a young girl who's been raised in a fatherless home should be a statistic. She should have possibly even already been pregnant by now, or, and none of that is going to be, because I have this covering over her out of my own obedience. And so I really don't fear much due to her own personal relationship with the Lord. So I just trust that she's going to continue to do that, because it's her own. It's not my faith, it's hers. So I really trust that he's going to honor my obedience, and she's going to continue to plug into him.
What is something that you want for her? What do you want to see her do or accomplish or be?
For sure. Just as I always wanted for her, this is the one area I feel like, I don't want to say I feel like I failed, because I know that God has a reason for everything, but in the ideal perfect world, she would have been raised in a 2-parent home and have siblings, and it would have been modeled to her as to what a family looks like, and what a husband is supposed to look like, how he's supposed to treat a wife. She didn't get to see that, but I would say that would be my greatest prayer for her, is that she still will have that godly marriage one day. I would love for her to have a godly marriage and raise children, and keep this lineage going with a godly family.
Well, our last question that we have for you, our blog is called Boldly, Freely, and Faithfully Living. Stands for BFF. We are best friends. And so I just want to know, or we want to know that, in what ways do you see yourself living boldly, freely, and faithfully through Christ?
The boldness, I think a lot of that comes with, my decisions to, be celibate. Obviously, I haven't always been. I have a child. But when I made that decision, Brittany, we've talked, you've been on the thing. There's a lot of people out there that are not doing things the way that we do. And I see relationships, somebody that, I had, possibly talked to or had interest in, but my decision to not have sex outside of marriage, they move on, and I'm okay with that. I'm not going to give in to be in a relationship. And I do think it takes some boldness to stand in confidence and know that God's way is the best way. And
freely and faithfully.
Freely and faithfully. Freely, I love that we are free to just live a Christian life and not be ridiculed for it, not be judged for it. And if I am judged for it, I don't care. There are people out there who are not believers, and I don't care at all. And so to just live our life, freely in the Lord. And there's no bondage here. When you have this relationship with the Lord, there's just, I have no, I don't have an addictive personality at all. So I've never really struggled with any sort of bondage of different, substances or anything like that. But even when it comes to some people may be feeling loneliness or something like that, I just don't. Just because that relationship with the Lord is there, and I know that there's a reason for the season that I'm in, and I just embrace it. And just serving in the season that I'm in, and just loving the season that I'm in, that gives you a lot of freedom in your mind. I'm just not worried about anything. And then faith, he's just proved himself so faithful. Just so many years. You've heard a little bit of my story with things of, a divorce, a broken engagement, loss of my father, but losing my father is actually brought me to the Lord. A season of 6 months of unemployment, that is unheard of when you are a single mom, and to still have every single bill paid, and that he just has proven
over and over.
Which would my phone just do? So sorry. He's just proven himself so faithful in that time, that my faith is just at a level that it wouldn't have been if I hadn't gone through the things that I've been through. Yeah. So I'm very grateful for the things that I've been through.
That's awesome. Well, Crystal, that's all of our questions. I thank you for giving us a little bit of your time today. And like I said, happy Mother's Day to you. You have a beautiful daughter, and I love just being able to get to know you a little bit more. This is going to be so powerful. I'm over here like, yes, Lord, thank you. Like, amen. Yes. Like, won't he do it? Amen. Yes. Okay.
Yes. Have a beautiful day.
Thank you. Yes. Thank you, both of you. You guys, happy Mother's Day to both of you as well. And I thank you so much for thinking of me and asking me to be a part of this. I love to help and encourage other women in the season that they're in. And I know that there's a reason, and this is part of the reason that I've remained single, because I can walk it out with other women, and I'm happy to do that.